Good afternoon. It's not quite afternoon, but we're going with it. This is Mary Schilke, and we're doing Young at Heart, and we're visiting at Tanglewood, which has been something that I've watched over the years, and boy, has it grown. Mm-hmm. And we have with us today Sharon Terhar, who started a number of years back. We just won't count them. And you want to admit how long you've been
Sure.
here?
I've been with Agewell Services for 33 years now.
Is it really that long?
It's been 33 years, yeah. It's gone quick, you know?
Well,
and when I started the job, when they interviewed me, they were worried that I wouldn't stick around for very long, and I almost didn't get the job because they thought I would stay 2 years and leave. So here I am 33 years later. Yeah.
Well, I'd say that you did pretty darn good. And this place has grown from when Meals on Wheels was the actual first part of it. Am I right?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Because that's what I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. My daughter and my granddaughter being involved in
Absolutely.
this. And it's gotten to be a family affair.
Yep.
And I remember way back when we had to figure out where to go, and yes.
Yep. The Meals on Wheels is really, we still think of the meals and nutrition as our core service. It's why the program originally started, and it's still the most, I hate to say the most important service, but it really, for those people that get the meals, it's critical for them.
What actually started the Meals on Wheels going?
Well, it was a law that was passed, the Older Americans Act, at the federal level, and it was Senator Ted Kennedy that initiated that. Way back, it's been going on 50 years from when it first originated. Our agency has only existed for 40 of those years. But that's what started Meals on Wheels in the country.
I knew that my daughter was involved with it, and I just helped out where I could, and I've kept track of it all these years, and all of a sudden, it kept growing, and then all of a sudden it was under one roof.
Yep.
Only this roof has really expanded, hasn't it?
It has. We do many things now.
Everything.
Everything. Muskegon was looking for something like what we opened here at Tanglewood Park. Almost 6 years now it's been since we've been here. And we added services at that time.
And it's an odd question, but was this an outshoot of the so-called Depression days in the 30s?
The meal program definitely was. When it originated, it was because people weren't socializing other than with their immediate family because they worked farms and families lived together then, and
there was no community.
There was no community, and there was poor nutrition then. People were not, getting enough to eat during the Depression, and as a result, this program, that was the purpose of it, was to help people eat better and socialize more. And that's still kind of the focus of it.
If people eat together or are involved in the same food program, they will socialize.
They will.
They can't
They
help
will. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yes, it's good for people to be with one another.
And
And that's why Tanglewood has become such a nice place, because there are people, they're not just over 65, there are quite
that's
a few
correct.
that are under.
That's correct. When we
And-
moved here, we opened the wellness programs up to age 50 and older.
And that's even better because, it's surprising. Well, you call that the halfway, the 50.
That's good. Halfway, that'd
And
be fine.
about that time, you need to take care of yourself, get exercise, get out and do things. Don't
Right.
sit in the corner.
Right.
And that's what's
And that's
provided.
and that's what we do here. When we opened it, we went to the community and kind of asked them, "What are you looking for in a senior center? What are the things that we want to have?" And the result here is because of the input we received from people. They wanted, and we're in the library here. They wanted a library, a place they can come in and take books and use them. And
That's the first thing I noticed when I walked in here. I love to read. Always have.
Tons of books in here, and and we opened the library. There's a computer lab with new computers in there. We do classes for them, so you can learn anything from how to turn that computer on and move the mouse, all the way to setting up a Facebook account and emailing and
You know
eBay.
what? This is almost like a senior citizen school.
Yeah, I guess it is, isn't
And
it?
it's a wonderful place to come to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got a huge parking lot, which is usually full up to capacities.
It usually
so I know
is.
that it's being used.
It's busy, yeah.
And I understand that quite a few of the places in town where seniors live think this is the place to go.
That's what we hear, and there are a lot of people here. At any time, there's classes going on. We have 35 different fitness classes every week. So if somebody comes in and they've never exercised and they're having trouble moving around, there's a class for them. There's a sit down, a couple
That's
sit
the
down and
beginners.
stretches.
That's the kindergarten.
Yeah, there you go. Back to the school. Yeah, and we can get them started all the way up to maybe I hate to say an active 50-year-old, because we have 75 and 85-year-olds that are just as active as some of the 50s that
Now
come
that
here.
I can believe. Yes.
Yep, and they'll do Zumba, but we have everything, the whole range, with Tai Chi and yoga and stretching and a lot of fitness classes for people.
And that's what people need. Because sometimes as people grow up and their life changes, which it does every day, they kind of drop out of society. And this gets them back in with all kinds of people. And I do mean all kinds of people.
That's right.
From everywhere. And it's good for them.
It is, and we always say, if you come here by yourself and maybe you don't know anybody, you're almost always going to run into somebody that you knew previously, an old neighbor, an old schoolmate.
That's what I've
things like that,
discovered.
or you meet new friends. But
Old
almost everybody
schoolmates.
runs into people here and reconnects.
That is a pleasure. Because we move around as we grow up and go out. So we don't see the people we saw back when. So it's a
Right.
real treat to run into them
Yeah.
years down the road. Unless it was somebody who teased you.
Well-
Then you don't really care.
Well, and maybe they'll be different at this point in life, huh?
That's for sure. But yes, the fact that there are so many things that can be done here, and I have seen some of the things, and I have talked to some of the people who have come from different places to this area, and they discovered Tanglewood and thought that they'd gone to heaven because it fulfilled their needs.
That's wonderful. We hear a lot of nice stories from people and how this has helped them, either at a low point in their life or, something like that. It's brought them back, gave them a new purpose. We had an art walk here this week with art that the students here paint, that the seniors painted, and had it displayed throughout the building, and people could come in and bid on it. And we still have a few pieces up,
Now that would be interesting.
but it was fun.
I couldn't draw a straight line,
Yeah.
much anything else, but I had
Me either.
children
I'm with you.
who grew up just drawing freehand.
Yeah. I bought
but
2
I can
pieces of
like
art,
it.
so
I
yeah.
just don't, I'm not capable of it. My talents don't lie in that direction. That's how they put it.
I don't know.
That's a very sweet
I think
way
our-
of saying it.
I bet our art teacher could get you doing something.
But the fact that there is a place where they can draw
Yes.
and they can sit for hours and do it, and I've watched the kids do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I realized after I grew up and my kids were growing up that they got their artistic talent from my dad.
Ah,
I had a father who was ambidextrous. He could write with either hand and you couldn't tell the difference.
wow.
He did everything with both hands.
That's
And I
amazing.
came along.
Yeah. Not you, huh?
Well, I
yeah.
have 2 hands. I can cook and clean.
Uh-huh.
That's about it. But that's my place in life.
There you go. Yeah.
But the fact that we have an area here where people can come, can they just come in on their own, or do they have to take a membership, or what?
You can do both. We have a membership, and that include, you get certain privileges with it.
Yeah.
But it's $9 a month to belong, and you can use the library, then the computer lab, the fitness room where we've got 7 strength machines and 5 cardio machines like treadmills and bikes. They can use that for free and with the membership, and then they get discounts on a lot of the classes and things like that we offer. So it's very reasonable, a good way to take care of yourself.
What more can you ask it
Right.
for?
But if you don't want to pay the membership fee, you can drop in and pay a drop-in rate of $5 each time you drop in and
That's
take
not
a
bad
class.
either.
Yep.
Yeah, you can do as you please, and you're not held to one or
We
the
want to
other.
make it easy for people to take care of themselves.
Well, th-
To take better care of
That's a
themselves.
wonderful thought.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, because there are a lot of people who are on strict budgets. put
That
it
and
way.
we found that when we charged originally an annual rate, that it was harder for people to belong and pay the annual rate of $100. It was much easier. They could, might not be here all year long, so they just want to pay for certain months. So now we just do it by the month and make it a lot easier.
Because there are a lot of
easier to budget.
seniors who spend part of the year down in
You bet.
either in Florida or Arizona.
Uh-huh. Yes, they do.
Those are Michigan's
Yeah,
sweet days of winter.
yeah, yeah.
They weren't this year, but
Long winter, yeah.
but we like our change of seasons anyhow.
You bet.
And the fact that this place is open all year long.
It is open all year long. We're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday.
You can't beat.
No? So 12 hours a day they can work out or come and hang out.
Have they ever thought about having places for people to live right on here, on this property?
No, we have not. But there's been discussions about another property where maybe there'd be some housing for seniors that we'd be affiliated
Well,
with.
according to statistics, our elder population is the greater of our population.
It is. It's growing rapidly.
And I keep thinking about that because I think, well, where are they going to live? And they need to be near someplace
Yeah.
where they can be entertained.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a dumb word in one way, but a very good one in another. And yes, they need places where they can go within a short distance
Right. Right.
because many of them end up no longer driving,
Right.
so they have to rely on buses one way or the other.
That's right.
And
Or family.
it's
and
something we will
yeah.
end up needing.
The Village at Park Terrace Senior Living Community, offering beautiful yet affordable 1- and 2-bedroom apartment homes as well as 2-bedroom cottages. Rent includes a wide variety of exceptional services, from daily meals shared in the dining room or delivered to your door, to scheduled activities and social events, to 24-hour emergency on-call service. Their expert, caring staff is there to assist you with all of your retirement needs. The Village at Park Terrace Senior Living Community, where you can enjoy the luxuries and comfort of your own home without the work and worry.
The best way to stay healthy? Exercise your voice. At the new Mercy Health, we believe that carefully listening to you and encouraging you to take an active role in your own health care is an important part of keeping you healthy. So you'll find our extensive network of physicians not only use the latest technology, they focus on what you have to say. Your voice, our expertise. Mercy Health.
Is your loved one's health failing? Do they need the aid and attendance of other people for their daily living activities? Were they a veteran? If so, it is possible that they are eligible for a special pension called Aid and Attendance through the Veterans Administration that will assist in paying for their health care needs. There are 4 eligibility factors to consider, and you can find out if your loved one is eligible for any of these benefits just by making a phone call to elder law attorney Anna Duggins. She can be reached at 231-722-5415, or you can email her at aud@parmenterlaw.com.
Buckwheat Schultz & Associates Incorporated, investment products and services. For more information, call 799-9889 or 866-799-9889. Well, we've had a short break, and I'd like to get back into the food end of things, because this is almost your background.
It is, yeah.
Who handles the food here?
Well, we have a dedicated staff that in the back of the building here, we have about 4,000 square feet. That is our central kitchen. And we've got a staff there of about 15 that start at 5:30 in the morning. And we're very busy up until about 10 a.m. when they're getting the meals out the door. We cook the meals here. We do a lot of things from scratch. The menus are written by our dietitians. We accommodate different needs for people. If
they're allergic to this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah, we try to do all of that, and the meals are packaged either to go out to centers. They're cooked and sent out to different centers, or they're packaged up individually for the Meals on Wheels distribution. And then some drivers come here and pick them up and take them out on the routes, kind of like what your family did. And some go to centers, and the drivers are coming to those different centers. We'll deliver meals out of this kitchen here, all the way to Holland, all the way to Jenison, all the way to Pentwater, and everywhere in between. There are 50 different routes every day across West Michigan here delivering Meals on Wheels.
Boy, and you have lots of drivers then.
We do. Drivers, staff, and volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers, and that is always a need that we have, is more volunteer drivers.
Well, that I can understand.
And they can call here, or drop in if they're interested in information about volunteering. That's definitely an option. That's, important. And our Meals on Wheels, we actually have had a wait list for a while. You talked about the population growing. And so we've had a wait list, the funding that we get for it, which is state and federal, and then our fundraising and local dollars and things like that, and the donation that the people make. An important part of the cost of it. But it hasn't been enough to keep up with the growing population. So we've had a wait list, but we just started adding people again back this past month. So that's been wonderful. We're glad to get that going again and meet the need.
Because I know you've had lots of volunteer people over the years, and I always wondered how they got a start. Well, I learned.
Yep.
But it's not only a need, but it's something you don't mind doing. For
Right.
helping your neighbor.
Right.
And again, there's your social life.
And it's an important visit. You might only spend a minute or two at that person's house, but you're checking on them. You're making sure that they're okay. Our drivers notice things when they're delivering the meals. Instead of being the smiley, cheerful person, you might
They're
be a little
down in the
sad
dumps.
one day, and what's going on? And they, well, I'm not feeling good. I've had this pain, and it won't go away. And we call the families. We talk to the families then and say, better check on mom. Just stop in and make sure she's okay. We've had drivers discover people who had fallen and had laid there for quite a while in their home, and getting them medical help, because those drivers are the only person that they may see for a period of time. So it's a really important service that they're providing there. The meal, I say the meals are
meal is fine, and they're glad to get
but
it.
it's that visit, that check,
But it's a fact that somebody's keeping an eye on.
Somebody's keeping an eye on
Like
'em.
the postman does if people don't pick up their mail.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
It's funny when you think of the different things, how people can check up on their neighbors.
See, and our drivers are just like the postmen. They're out there in rain, sleet, snow, and sunshine. So
Yeah, and you have to look out for the neighbors' dogs.
yes, you do.
Well, I was thinking of that part because they would get the smell of food,
Oh,
and
yeah.
dogs just pulls them in like a magnet.
That's right. Yeah.
But this has been an interesting life as far as you're concerned, has it not?
Yes. I've done most every job within the agency just because I feel that's important to know what everybody goes through, and in doing their job, and you learn a lot doing that. So I've delivered Meals on Wheels too. I've worked in the kitchen and done all of that.
When they're with the meals themselves, what do they consist of?
Well, we do different types of meals now. We'll do a breakfast meal that we send out for some people. The lunch, we'll do a supper, which could be more a sandwich and salad type thing. But it's typically the big meal of the day is what most people get for lunch. And it's, the meat, potato, vegetable, bread, fruit, milk, maybe dessert some days.
At the middle of the day.
Yeah, delivered at the middle. But not everybody eats it then. Some people, they get up a little later and just have something then, and they keep this meal to eat in the evening. So it varies with the person.
There isn't much to reheat it then.
No,
it's
there
all
isn't.
cooked and
It's cooked. They can refrigerate it and microwave it for later. That's
And
an
they're
option.
all set.
And some people get frozen meals now. We prepare them and freeze them here, and that way they get maybe 7 frozen meals when we visit them, and they can pick. If we had delivered meatloaf today,
choose.
maybe you didn't want meatloaf. You could pick the chicken and just microwave it then. Because most people can microwave. Most of the people that get meals are getting meals because either they have a money problem where they don't have enough money, and buying food is a problem, or they can't get out and shop, or they can't cook any longer. Sometimes it's dangerous for them to be operating a gas stove.
it could be.
Sometimes they can't stand for that long to do food preparation. So there's lots of different reasons why people get meals, but usually they call here and we'll talk to them on the phone and find out why they think they need meals, get a little information, and if we think they qualify, we'll start them right away, and then within the next couple weeks somebody goes out and visits them and makes sure that they're getting all that they need and that we've provided the right types of meals for them.
That's like, in other words, you're like a big sister to the rest of the city.
Sure.
Yeah. And what could be nicer than that?
Yeah.
To know that you could call and get help.
Right. Yeah. And most of the calls we get are now from families looking to help mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. It used to be it was the person themselves calling and saying, I need some help, I'm not doing so good. But now it's the families that are the big callers. I think they maybe don't live around mom and dad so much anymore. And they drop in for a visit and notice a few
Things
things.
aren't what they should be.
Yeah, and they'll call us and ask that, we start services.
It has drawn people closer, and the young ones who call you for their parents are getting prepared for their own turn
Sure.
because they already know what you can help with. And it's nice to know that we have something in our city
Right.
that operates so very quietly, because
That's
you're
true.
not a loud bunch.
No.
You're very quiet. And
It's true. The service is really, I think until we moved here at Tanglewood Park, we were the best kept secret in town. The doctors knew about us in the hospitals, and, some churches, and, they'd look around and find out about us. But once we moved in here, we've become a little more
you
well
stand
versed
out.
in, yeah.
Because all you have to do is go around the corner and see the full parking lot.
Yeah.
And something is there. You may not know what it is, but you'll find out.
Well, there was so much excitement about this building when we were moving in here with all 4 agencies, and when they were doing the construction. Every day, carloads of older adults were driving through the parking lot, checking on things and
They were
seeing when
waiting
it
to
was
see
going to
when you'd
open.
up.
Yep. So
Well,
pretty
there
exciting.
was a need way back when.
Absolutely.
But all of a sudden, it hit the whole population of our town that we needed something like that. And I don't know who was the good soul who started it, who got things moving, but evidently there were quite a few people, including yourself, who were in the front lines.
Yeah. Well, it was really one of our partners for Life Circles, them moving into town, starting that brand new program and looking for space. And that's what got the idea going about Tanglewood Park. When they found a building and they didn't need all the space, we kind of all got together and said, well, I think it's time. Muskegon has a senior center, and we needed a new kitchen.
Well, it was a big jump.
A big
from
jump.
A
It
little
was.
tiny thing to what it is now. And as you mentioned, the growing older population, you'll have to keep on growing.
Well,
Or we
yeah,
have to
probably.
attach more land to it or something.
We'll see, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But just keep up that good service, because this is something that we have needed all along. And it wasn't broadcast through a bullhorn, but the information snuck out. It was bit by bit, and all of a sudden it picked up speed.
Yeah.
And we've been very, very fortunate to have you around.
Well, there will be some construction going on at this place over the next year.
Well, I'm
happening.
sure of that.
Life Circles is adding on to the facility. We're making some changes, but it's mostly for their program.
Just keep it up. Don't stop, please. Because it is something we need, and even though it started as something relatively small, it served a huge need, but the need hasn't stopped.
No, the need's not going to stop. It's only going to continue to get
grown
greater and
instead.
greater. Yeah, people want to stay active longer. They want to stay in their homes for as long as possible, as long as it's safe for them to be there. And that's what we want.
Independence.
Yep, and that's what we want for
And
them.
Meals on Wheels has been one of the biggest sources, because you don't have any choice. You do have to eat.
You have to eat, yes.
And if you've got hands that don't work right, you can't always cook, and maybe you're afraid of working with the stove. You don't want to burn yourself.
Yep. Yes.
And this is something that's ideal.
It's a way to keep them safe and healthy.
That's right.
You bet.
And that's why the older population is growing so fast.
It is part of the reason.
It's your fault. You don't mind being blamed.
I don't mind being blamed. No, that's okay.
But
Yeah.
it has been something that has grown over the years, and when you look back and you see what it started with or what it is now, it can only grow.
Well, I sure would like to invite people to drop in and take a tour and a visit. We give tours every day here. It still amazes me that there are people who have never been here. You know, I drove by.
Well,
I'll stop, but
Yes, they've gone by,
Yep.
and they've seen the size of it and all the cars parked, and they either don't want to battle the cars or they haven't
Well,
got the time.
sometimes
Take
a
your
full
choice.
parking lot is a bad thing. You know, we think it shows that we're busy, but sometimes that does keep people
Well,
away, I think.
It goes back.
Yeah.
Well, this is
but
why
there's always room. There's always room here. So if people,
You'll make it easy.
drop in, we'll give them a tour, find out what's important to them. You know, what are they looking for? Are they looking to improve their fitness? Are they looking for something artistic? Some cards and games, you know, learn things.
all of those things and more
All of it and more can be here.
to be with other people,
To be with others, yes.
because
Yep.
you don't want to. You can live alone in your own home, but you can't do without people.
Right. The one part I haven't mentioned is our cafe that we have here. Open for breakfast and lunch, and that's a great spot for people. You know, everybody likes to hang out and talk and eat together, and it's a great way for people to
People
connect.
talk over food where they
Yes.
won't otherwise.
Yes, it's open, you know, to the public. Our employees use it, but the folks who come here use it, and a lot of other people just drop in. Some of the businesses in the area drop in and have lunch there. And any proceeds from the cafe go back into the meal program. So, because we, you know, operate that as a
It
business.
stays together.
It stays together. Yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
And you know, this has been a most wonderful time to have run into you again.
It,
'Cause
yes.
I remember seeing you way back when.
Yeah.
And you've grown up a little since then.
Well,
You've grown
grown
up and
up.
I've grown on.
yeah.
We just don't say old.
Yeah. No. I'm with you on that.
We want to keep track of how they're going, because the Meals on Wheels has been something that
It's a
has
special
really
program.
helped the community look out for itself and each other.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
This is what people require.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
More than a meal.
so
Well, thank you. I love talking about Tanglewood and Meals on Wheels,
well, you
so
have to,
I
because
appreciate
you've lived
this.
it so long. And you know what you know, and you've seen what it can do.
Absolutely. Yep. It can make a difference in
And
someone's
if anybody
lives.
wants to come and volunteer their help, we'll take them in.
Absolutely. Yes. Drop in or call 755-0434.
And there it goes, it's Muskegon and Western Michigan. Seeing that we're scattered around through what is it, 3 counties, am I
Three
right?
counties. Yes. Ottawa, Muskegon, Oceana.
And we will come back shortly.
Muskegon Area District Library, formerly the Muskegon County Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped, offering public library books and magazines, both fiction and nonfiction, to visually and physically impaired individuals. With their new location at 4845 Airline Road, they can be contacted at 231-737-6310.
Beginning as a lumber company in 1911, Frederick's Construction has been servicing the Muskegon area since 1969. Family owned and operated, they specialize in roofing, siding, windows, insulation, additions, doors, decks, and more. Located at 1940 Commerce Street in beautiful downtown Muskegon, their phone number is 231-722-3937. When you want quality workmanship, you want Frederick's Construction.
Seaway Appliance. Seaway Appliance is an established name in the community because we offer what the other guys don't.
We have a great selection of appliances and high-definition televisions, and we also offer professional delivery and installation.
And at Seaway Appliance, we have our own service departments.
Seaway Appliance, your hometown brand source store. It's competitive low prices and amazing deals.
And thank you for the business.
Seaway Appliance
on Henry Street in Muskegon.
The Pizza Ranch, featuring a buffet that is guaranteed to please even the pickiest eaters. From a full soup and salad bar, pizzas and breadsticks, to mouth-watering roasted chicken, potatoes and gravy, vegetables, drinks and desserts, all for just one price. Their menu features a wide variety of delectable favorites. You can dine in, carry out, or have your meals delivered. There's something for everyone at the Pizza Ranch.
For years, people have put together photo collages for special occasions. They go through the photo album and old shoe boxes and pull out their favorite photos and put them on poster boards. The boards are a great way of sharing stories, but it can be a pretty tedious job. Well, we here at Clocks, we want to make that job easier for you. So just bring us all the photos and we'll scan them into the computer, and then we'll print out the collages on our large format printer. That way, all the photos will be in digital format so you can share them with your friends and relatives.
We're back, West Michigan, and we have a new visitor now. Yeah, she's not a visitor, she works here. I'm visiting. And your name is?
My name is Susan Howell Stuck.
That's a big name.
It is. I need to shorten that down a little bit.
Well, put knee in the center. It is. But you do what I call the help number, 211.
Yes.
And how long has that been in use?
I'm
sure it kind of snuck up on you.
Well, that's funny because when I was hired to help bring 211 to the community, I thought, well, that sounds like fun and something I could do for a year or two, and here I am a decade later. So 211 is still a fairly new concept, both in Michigan and across the country. We launched the 211 number in Muskegon County in August of 2005. So we're not even 10 years old yet. And since we started the 211 back then, we've slowly been expanding, trying to make sure that everybody in Michigan has access to 211. So out of our call center here in Muskegon, we actually serve the entire western lakeshore of Michigan. So we've been adding counties year after year, and we serve from Ottawa County, south of us, all the way up to the tip of the Mitt. So we serve an 18-county area out of our call center here at Tanglewood Park.
You are big.
We are big and we're kind of busy.
I have a feeling you're very busy.
We are. 211 is a very simple concept. It's a 3-digit dialing code. So just like people call 911 for medical or emergency services, people can dial 211, those 3 simple numbers, any time of the day or night, and they always get to talk to a real person. And the way we're different from 911 is we work with Health and Human Services. So when people need some kind of help, they need some kind of a program or support, and they don't know where to go, we are the first place that they can call. Yes.
Well, actually, it's something we've probably needed for umpteen years, but nobody knew how to start it. So somebody took a leap off into space and came up with it.
You know, information referral, helping connect people to answers, helping connect people to community resources, that has always been something that every single agency around town does. The churches do it. Sometimes human resource people in businesses do it. And a very smart group of individuals came together at a community table and said, you know, there's probably a lot more organized way that we can do this to better serve the community, to make it easier to access.
One central number.
One central number with all of the information about all of the health and human service programs available in our entire area. And we have a wonderful staff. This is not my specialty, but we have a wonderful staff who populates a database. So we have call specialists who are wonderful and warm and caring, but then at the tip of their fingers is this great program on the computer that allows them to pull up information about anything from the entire spectrum of health and human services. Maybe you want to know where to go to get your flu shot. Maybe you're kind of struggling and you've received a shut-off notice for one of your utilities. Or maybe it's really complicated where husband and wife and the husband has started to have health issues, but we want him to be able to stay at home for as long as possible. And the wife needs some support services and some additional help, and she doesn't know where to start. So 211 can be that place to start. We find that if people make that initial call to us, it saves them a lot of frustration.
One call can do it. It branches out.
It branches out. One call connects them to literally thousands of different services. So what used to happen in the past is that folks would think maybe this organization does this, or maybe this one, and they would call, they would talk to somebody very friendly who would say, well, we don't do that, but let me connect you here. So the idea is that if they make that call to 211 as their first call, we can let them know who's providing what services, what they need to do to access that service. Another thing we find is when people are in need, sometimes they don't even know what questions to ask.
That would be me.
Well, it's hard. Before I came to 211, I worked with the Council on Aging out of Grand Haven. And I had done that for about 7 years. And I thought I knew a lot after that time. And what I found when I came to 211 is how little I did know, just because there are so many different programs and agencies, and there's so many different needs, and everybody's situation is a little bit unique. So 211 lets someone call in, it lets them connect with someone whose only purpose is to be there to answer that call, to walk them through whatever their questions, their needs, their concerns, and not only help connect them with community services, but maybe just do some problem solving or connect them with informal supports in the community.
It's something that, again, it's funny how we learn, live and learn. And here you started out, you thought you knew pretty much, and you found out there was just about above zero. And you keep learning every day.
That my staff has said that's one of their favorite things about working for 211, is that they're always learning something new. Someone will call in and ask for help with something that, a question that's never been posed before. And part of what we do, in addition to helping people from the community connect with the different help that they need, we also keep track of what people are asking for. And so if there isn't some kind of a service in the community to connect them to, we report that back. We tell organizations like Senior Resources or Age Well Services or the United Way that we're getting a lot of calls for this particular need, and right now there's nowhere to send them. And then the community can look at that and say, gosh, what are we as a group going to do to help try to address that need?
Well, with everything that you do, there has to be a starting point, and you're the one who starts that point moving.
We hope that we make it okay to ask for help. One thing that we find is, a lot of people just have that very much do-it-yourself attitude, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But there is a point when all of us need some kind of help or another.
Sometimes it's hard to admit that you need help.
It is. And, that's even part of what we do.
And the best part of the 211, it isn't that highly specialized. It'll get into anything that you want or need.
We started, when they first hired me, we started as a senior information and referral. And we took about 5,000 calls a year from seniors and their families who were looking for home delivered meals or help with homemaking or activities. And once we expanded to be a 211 and serve the whole community, now we take over 50,000 calls a year, and we answer all sorts of questions from A to Z.
You've grown up quite well, too, I'd say. Well, we've probably needed this all along, but again, it's a matter of live and learn.
It is.
It's the only way you do get ahead. Somebody will finally get an idea, or maybe a neighbor has been helping another neighbor, and they can no longer do it, and you end up taking care. And that's perfect.
Yep.
And again, what better service can you be of than to your neighbor?
And that's still an important part of community supports.
It is.
Organizations can't do everything. The government definitely can't do everything.
Even though they try to do it, they can't.
But neighbor helping neighbor, folks in churches reaching out, those are some of the informal supports that I was talking about. And we're surprised quite often when people call us looking for help, and what you said about it's hard to ask. Well, it's hard to ask us. We're an anonymous stranger on the other end of the line, but sometimes just giving them permission to say, have you talked to your neighbor? Have you asked your pastor?
Well, no.
Well, no, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to put them out.
I want to take care of myself.
Yes. And I think that's good, but there is a point, to a point, because we want people to have a good quality of life, and there's this entire network of agencies and programs that are in our community to try to help improve that quality of life, and it's there when people need it.
And they need it at the craziest times. It'll look like they're doing just fine, and all of a sudden it's just like they run into a brick wall, and they don't know which way to turn.
And that's where 211 can be really useful. Senior Resources was very engaged in helping us get going, because at the time we started, Senior Resources had been around for about 30 years, and here they're this amazing organization with all these great services who have done marketing and promotion decade after decade, but what they always heard was, oh gosh, we didn't know you were here. So 211 is such a simple way. People don't tend to pay attention to what's out there until they need help. And
they don't know where to look.
They don't know where to look, and they're in a crisis. Maybe there's an illness, maybe there's been an accident, a job loss, some kind of crisis. And I don't know about you, but when I'm in crisis, I don't think very clearly.
Nobody else does either.
Our problem-solving skills, often go out the window.
They go to recess.
I like that. So, if we can promote this idea of 211 as the place to start, so that when, there is that need that, I like to think that people might call us and be preventative and say, I'm just planning ahead. We love those calls too.
Yes.
That doesn't seem to be human nature for a lot of us. So as much as I'd like to encourage people to think ahead, start planning for tomorrow, find out what resources are out there, I bet probably 9 out of 10 calls that we receive is where they need help now. So instead of them trying to make 10 calls themselves, hopefully we can make that process easier and more efficient and help connect them to the help that they need.
And that is perfect. Again, it's a matter of live and learn, and we all have a hard time accepting what is occurring in our lives. It can be anything from large to small events. And yes, in all cases, we need help. We need someone else. And if you can get it by calling 211, you're going to get immense amounts of help, because you can find any and everything we need.
And and we might have ideas, because this is what we do every day.
Yes.
We might have ideas that people do not. And one example that I like, we got a call, and there was a family, and mom was living alone, and the daughter called us, and she was very concerned about mom living alone. She had fallen, and then they were just worried all the time. Would there be another fall? Is this safe? They actually called us looking for a 24/7 nurse. They felt, in order to feel secure, they just needed support there. With further conversation, we were actually able to set this gal up with, those little things you wear around your neck. It's called a PERS. It's a personal emergency response system. A very simple solution, a very cost-effective solution. The daughter had peace of mind that mom was going to be okay, but it was something that the daughter, I guess, didn't know about or didn't even think about. So she's already thinking worst case scenario, we need to bring someone in to be with mom 24 hours a day. And in reality, it was a very simple solution that they both felt really comfortable with. So
And they didn't know who to find, how to find, or where to find the help.
Right. Luckily, they called 211.
Yes. And this is something that was not had years ago. If your parent lived alone, you always hoped and prayed they'd be okay. You took them shopping, you took them where they had to go. But eventually they hit a point where something occurs and they have to leave their home. And that's probably the hardest thing for people to do.
Absolutely.
They don't like that because, well, there are about 1 million or more reasons and memories in that house.
Right.
And if you're sitting there with a phone and you can help, they'll talk.
Absolutely.
And once you get them started, you can't stop.
And you know what? But that's the beauty of it. That's what we are there for. People, you mentioned people don't want to leave their homes. And studies have shown that, people live longer if they can stay at home.
Oh, yeah.
So, the trick is call us when you start to have concerns. Call us when you start to see issues. I mentioned that we'd love people to call us and be preventative. Let's get supports in place. Let's get some services, right, so that we keep it a safe environment, and maybe you can stay at home a lot longer than you had originally thought.
That is true, because sometimes all they need is somebody to come in, maybe every day or every other day, check on them. They may not have to leave their home.
Exactly.
There are 1 million different ways of working around, and people do have a hard time accepting this. But sooner or later, it hits everybody. It's part of living.
Yep. And I think, I know that when it comes to having someone come into the home to help, that's hard. I think across the entire age spectrum, that anytime you need to say, okay, maybe I need a little extra help in this area.
Yeah, a little.
A little.
That's how it goes. And pretty soon it's a lot. But they get so they trust a stranger.
Yes.
because that person is no longer a stranger.
And then suddenly they realized they enjoyed their company, and
yeah, and they wondered how they got along without them.
Exactly.
Well, human beings are funny critters. They really are. But they need each other. And you are the answer to that. You and your organization, you're the starting point.
Right. We try to be. We don't know everything about everything.
if there's something you don't know, you look it up. Or you'll find somebody else who's gone through the same thing.
We do try.
Well, that's where we come in with helping each other. And it is a necessity, and I guess we probably needed it many years ago. But again, like everything else, everything moves along and branches out.
And as we do move along, one thing that we've started more actively is actually being able to search all of our services from a website. We have all of the same information that we share with people. People can search for themselves online. We have a website which is www.call-211.org. That's not how I prefer to get my information. And I've actually been a little resistant to that because I'm old school. I would rather connect with a person.
Well, actually, so would the person on the other end of the line, but they're scared.
Right. And you know what? That's an interesting point, because if you are scared or you are reluctant to ask for help, sometimes doing a little search on the website first, might make you start to feel more comfortable. Or if you don't need help yet, but maybe you're just planning ahead and you want to see what kind of supports are out there, that might be a comfortable way to go.
That is something that is hard to talk to with seniors who've been independent all their lives, and they're losing some of that, and they can't give up. They hold so tightly to it, but if you can get one little chink in their armor, they'll open up, and they will go with whatever is, and they will get their information and use it, hopefully. And in the meantime, or you can pat yourself on the back because you've helped another person. And I'm glad. Now, when did this actually start, the 211?
211 for our community went live in 2005.
Okay.
So a little bit over a year, and we'll be having our 10-year anniversary.
Yes. I was just thinking about that. So it's been around. I didn't know about it at first. I knew there was a 911 in case of desperate emergency.
Yep.
And that was about all. So when the 211 came along, well, that was something different. It was much closer to home and easier to do.
And helping, the community become aware of it, it's been a slow process. A lot of education.
That's all right. Slow and steady.
Yes. People, it used to be you ran an ad in the newspaper, you put up a billboard. That's not really how people get their information anymore.
No.
So, 10 years later, we're still educating people. But like I said...
And you'll have to keep that up, by the way.
And we probably will, forever. We
because
realize that...
there will always be new people coming in.
Or people that have heard the message, but they didn't need it. So
that's right. And when they need it yesterday.
Right.
Well, I thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about 211. It's been a pleasure, and this will go out to West Michigan.
Wonderful.
And it'll probably increase your phone calls by another 10,000.
We're ready.
So, thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on.
And thank Annie, because she's our boss. That's what we call her. And West Michigan, we'll be back to talk to you another time.
Hello, Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's here.
What took you so long?
Jimmy John's, freaky fast delivery.
I love the men in uniform.
Jimmy John's, freaky fast delivery.